Antarctica. Just the name conjures images of a vast, unforgiving wilderness. It's the coldest, driest, and highest continent on Earth, a place of profound isolation. Imagine standing at the South Pole, surrounded by an endless expanse of white, where the wind cuts like a razor, and the silence is so deep it feels like you can hear the planet turning. This is a land of extremes, a continent almost entirely covered by a sheet of ice that, in some places, is nearly 3 miles thick. It's a place that seems hostile to life, a final frontier on our own world that remains largely unexplored and fiercely guarded by nature itself. This is the last great wilderness. For centuries, Antarctica was a myth, a hypothetical southern landmass called Terra Australis Incognita, the unknown southern land. It was a blank spot on the map, a challenge to the most daring explorers who sailed into treacherous, iceberg-choked waters in search of it. Even after its official discovery in the 19th century, its interior remained a mystery. Early adventurers who dared to venture inland faced unimaginable hardship, battling frostbite, starvation, and the crushing psychological weight of its desolate beauty. They were charting a land that seemed to actively resist human presence, a place where survival itself was a monumental achievement. The stories they brought back were of a world both beautiful and deadly, a place of otherworldly ice formations and endless polar nights. But what if this frozen desert isn't as empty as it seems? What if beneath that colossal shield of ice, there are secrets that could rewrite human history? We think of Antarctica as a place without a past, a continent without ancient ruins or forgotten cities. But that's because we only see its present-day state. The ice that covers it acts like a lock on a vault, preserving whatever lies beneath. For those of us who chase legends and look for the truth behind the myths, Antarctica represents one of the most compelling mysteries of all. It's a place where the line between science fiction and undiscovered fact becomes incredibly blurry. The questions are tantalizing. Could a civilization have thrived here in a forgotten age when the climate was different? Could evidence of its existence be buried deep under the ice waiting for discovery? It's a wild idea, one that mainstream science often dismisses. But history has shown us that today's wild idea is sometimes tomorrow's accepted truth. The allure of Antarctica isn't just in the ice and the sky, it's in the unknown. It's in the possibility that we have only scratched the surface of its story, and that its greatest secrets are still locked away, deep in the cold, silent darkness below. It's hard to imagine, but the continent we know as a polar wasteland was once a vibrant living world. Millions of years ago, Antarctica was not at the South Pole. Thanks to the slow, relentless drift of tectonic plates, it was situated in a more temperate part of the globe. Fossil evidence paints a picture that is completely alien to us today. Scientists have unearthed fossilized leaves, pollen, and even entire tree trunks, proving that this frozen continent was once covered in lush green forests. Imagine temperate rainforests, with towering trees, sprawling ferns, and a rich diversity of life thriving under a much warmer sun. These ancient forests were home to a surprising array of creatures. Fossil discoveries have revealed that dinosaurs roamed this land, including unique species that adapted to its particular environment. There were large herbivores munching on prehistoric plants and fearsome predators that hunted them. The climate was mild, similar to that of modern-day New Zealand or the Pacific Northwest of the United States. Rivers flowed across the landscape, carving valleys and feeding vast ecosystems. It was a world teeming with life, a green jewel in the southern hemisphere, a far cry from the sterile, white desert it is today. This wasn't just a brief warm spell. This green era lasted for millions of years. The big question, of course, is what happened? The answer lies in continental drift and climate change on a planetary scale. As Antarctica drifted slowly southward, it began to cool. Ocean currents shifted, isolating the continent and wrapping it in a frigid embrace. Ice sheets started to form on the highest mountains, and over millennia they grew and spread, relentlessly advancing across the land. The green forest died out, the animals vanished or migrated, and the vibrant landscape was slowly, inexorably entombed in ice. This process, known as the Eocene-Oligocene extinction event, transformed a living continent into a frozen one. This geological history is the foundation for one of the most intriguing theories out there. We know Antarctica was warm. We know it supported complex life, but the timeline is the key. Most scientists believe this green period ended long before modern humans evolved. But what if parts of it remained habitable for longer than we think? What if early humans, or perhaps a different, forgotten branch of humanity, found their way there? If a civilization had taken root in a still green Antarctic valley, the advancing ice would have buried it completely, preserving it like a time capsule. It's a fantastic premise, but it starts from a place of scientific fact. Antarctica was not always a world of ice. In 1929, a discovery in the Topkapi Palace in Istanbul, Turkey, sent ripples through the worlds of history and cartography. A German theologian named Gustav Deissmann was cataloging the library's contents when he stumbled upon a fragment of a world map drawn on gazelle skin. It was dated to the year 1513 and signed by an Ottoman admiral and cartographer named Piri Reis. The map was remarkable for its stunningly accurate depiction of the coastlines of West Africa and the eastern coast of South America. But it was the bottom edge of the map that would spark decades of intense debate and controversy among scholars and adventurers alike. The Piri Reis map appears to show something impossible: a landmass extending southward from the tip of South America. This coastline bears a striking resemblance to the coast of Antarctica, specifically Queen Maud Land. The mystery deepens when you realize two things. First, Antarctica wasn't officially discovered until 300 years after this map was made, in the early 1800s. Second, and even more baffling, the coastline shown on the map appears to be free of ice. It depicts mountains and rivers in a place that is currently buried under more than a mile of solid ice. How could a 16th century mapmaker possibly know what the Antarctic coast looked like without its ice cap? Piri Reis himself provided a clue in the notes written on the map. He stated that he had compiled his work from numerous older source maps, some of which dated back to the time of Alexander the Great, and even earlier. This suggests that he was not the original cartographer of this mysterious southern land, but rather a compiler of ancient knowledge. The implication is staggering. If he copied it from older sources, it means that someone, thousands of years ago, had the technology and the opportunity to map the Antarctic coastline before it was covered in its current ice sheet. This challenges our entire understanding of the technological capabilities of ancient peoples. Of course, there are mainstream explanations. Skeptics argue that the landmass is not Antarctica at all, but rather a distorted representation of the South American coastline, bent to fit the shape of the parchment. Others suggest it was simply guesswork, a cartographer's attempt to fill in the blank spaces of the unknown southern world based on sailors' tales and legends. Yet the correlations between the map's features and the subglacial topography revealed by modern seismic surveys are too compelling for many to dismiss. The Piri Reis map remains an enigma, a piece of parchment that whispers of a forgotten age of exploration and a world that looked very different from our own. In the aftermath of World War II, the United States military launched one of the largest and most ambitious expeditions to Antarctica in history. Codenamed Operation High Jump, the mission officially began in 1946. It was a massive undertaking involving over 4,700 men, a fleet of 13 ships, and numerous aircraft. The stated purpose was scientific: to train personnel and test equipment in frigid conditions, and to establish an American research base called Little America 4. The man leading this monumental effort was the legendary polar explorer, Rear Admiral Richard E. Byrd, a national hero who had already flown over both the North and South Poles. However, the official story has always been shadowed by rumors and strange circumstances. For a scientific mission, the operation was unusually large and heavily militarized. Furthermore, it was supposed to last for 6 to 8 months, but it was abruptly and mysteriously cut short after only 8 weeks. The entire task force was ordered to return to the United States immediately. The reasons for this sudden withdrawal have never been fully explained, which has fueled endless speculation. What could have happened in the vast emptiness of Antarctica that would cause the U.S. Navy to beat such a hasty retreat from a mission planned with military precision? Upon his return, Admiral Byrd gave a series of interviews that only deepened the mystery. In one interview with a Chilean newspaper, he was quoted as saying it was imperative for the United States to initiate defensive measures against enemy fighters that could fly from pole to pole with incredible speed. He spoke of a new enemy that could attack America from the polar regions. He described seeing a new land beyond the pole, an enchanted continent that was an enemy's bastion. His cryptic warnings seem to hint at a threat far beyond that of any conventional nation, suggesting a discovery of something extraordinary and potentially hostile in the Antarctic. Years later, entries purported to be from Bird's secret diary surfaced, though their authenticity is highly debated. These alleged diary entries tell an even wilder story. They describe Bird flying into a warm green valley hidden within the Antarctic ice. He supposedly encountered flying craft of a type he had never seen before, disc-shaped vehicles that escorted his plane to a landing. There, he claimed to have met with the leader of an advanced subterranean civilization. Whether you believe the diary is real or a work of fiction, the official story of Operation High Jump, with its abrupt end and Bird's strange warnings, leaves us with more questions than answers. It adds another layer to the enduring mystery of what really lies at the bottom of the world. Long before Operation High Jump, another world power had set its sights on Antarctica. In the late 1930s, as the world teetered on the brink of war, Nazi Germany launched its own secret expedition to the frozen continent. Between 1938 and 1939, they sent a ship, the MS Schwabenland, to a sector of Antarctica south of Africa. Their mission was to chart the coastline, claim territory for the Reich, and scout for a location to build a permanent base. Using seaplanes launched from the ship, they photographed vast areas and dropped metal swastika flags to stake their claim on a region they named Neuschwabenland, or New Swabia. The official reason for this expedition was to secure a new source for the German whaling industry, which was vital for producing glycerin for explosives and fats for margarine. However, the mission's secretive nature and its connection to the highest echelons of the Nazi Party have led to much darker theories. Some researchers believe the Nazis were not just looking for whale oil, they were searching for something else entirely, driven by their well-documented obsession with ancient artifacts, esoteric knowledge, and hidden technologies. They believed in lost Aryan homelands like Thule and Atlantis, and some theories suggest they saw Antarctica as a potential location for one of these mythical realms. The most persistent and sensational theory is that the Nazis succeeded in building a secret base known as Base 211, deep within the mountains of Neuschwabenland. According to these stories, this base was not just a simple outpost, but a massive hidden sanctuary. The legends claim that German U-boats, including advanced wonder weapon submarines, were used to ferry supplies, scientists, and even high-ranking Nazi officials to this base in the final days of the war. Proponents of this theory point to the post-war disappearances of certain key figures and the unexplained movements of several U-boats that surrendered months after Germany's defeat, suggesting they had made a long journey from a hidden location. This theory connects directly to Operation High Jump. Some believe Admiral Byrd's mission was not scientific at all, but a military operation to locate and destroy this secret Nazi holdout. The idea is that Byrd's fleet encountered not ancient aliens, but advanced German technology, perhaps saucer-shaped aircraft developed in secret, and were forced to retreat. While there is no concrete proof to support the existence of Base 211, the story has become a powerful modern myth. It blends historical fact, the Nazi expedition, with a compelling narrative of secret technology and a last stand in the most isolated place on Earth, forever linking the Third Reich to the mysteries of the ice. In the 21st century, the exploration of Antarctica has entered a whole new phase. We no longer need to physically trek across the ice to see what's there. Now, with satellite imaging programs like Google Earth, anyone with an internet connection can become a virtual explorer, scanning the vast white landscape from the comfort of their own home. And honestly, these digital adventurers are finding things, strange things. Over the years, users have flagged countless coordinates pointing to anomalies that really defy easy explanation. There are images that seem to show perfect pyramids piercing the ice, structures with straight lines and right angles that look distinctly artificial, and even what some claim is a massive staircase leading up a mountainside. Of course, geologists have explanations for many of these formations. They point to phenomena like pyramidal peaks or horns, which are created when glaciers erode a mountain on multiple sides. They explain that straight lines can be formed by natural geological faults or the sharp edges of eroding rock layers. However, the sheer number and variety of these anomalies keep the debate alive. Some of the shapes are just so symmetrical, so seemingly out of place in the natural chaos of a mountain range, that they continue to fuel speculation. Are we looking at tricks of light and shadow, or are we seeing the weathered, ice-covered ruins of something built by intelligent hands? Perhaps the greatest mystery of all lies not on the surface, but deep beneath it. Buried under more than 2 miles of solid ice is Lake Vostok, one of the largest subglacial lakes in the world. It has been sealed off from the outside world for millions of years, creating a unique environment that could potentially harbor life forms found nowhere else on Earth. In 2012, Russian scientists finally succeeded in drilling through the ice sheet and reaching the lake's surface. What they found has been the subject of intense scientific interest, and you guessed it, a lot of conspiracy theories. The extremophiles they discovered, organisms that thrive in extreme conditions, were fascinating, but some whisper of more. One of the most intriguing discoveries at Lake Vostok was a massive magnetic anomaly detected in the lake's southern region. This anomaly covers a large area and suggests the presence of a significant amount of metal in the Earth's crust there. While it could be a natural geological feature, some have speculated that it could be the magnetic signature of a large metallic structure, perhaps even a buried city. The combination of a sealed, ancient ecosystem and a huge, unexplained magnetic anomaly makes Lake Vostok a focal point for the lost civilization theory. It's a place where the potential for paradigm-shifting discovery, both biological and archaeological, is very real. The idea of a lost civilization in Antarctica often intersects with an even more ancient and, esoteric belief, the hollow Earth theory. This is the concept that our planet is not a solid sphere of rock and magma, but is instead hollow, with a central sun and a habitable interior surface. According to these legends, this inner world is home to advanced civilizations, sometimes referred to as the Kingdom of Agartha. Entrances to this subterranean realm are said to exist at various points around the globe, with the most prominent portals located at the North and South Poles. This belief system actually has roots in mythology from cultures all over the world. This theory provides a fantastic framework for some of the strangest Antarctic mysteries. Admiral Byrd's alleged diary entries, for instance, perfectly align with the Hollow Earth narrative. His description of flying into a warm green land beyond the pole and meeting the master of an advanced race living underground is a classic retelling of the Agartha legend. Proponents of this idea suggest that the Nazis were not just building a base on the surface, but were searching for an entrance to this inner world, believing it to be the true origin of the Aryan race. In this context, Antarctica is not just a lost continent, it's a gateway to another world hidden right beneath our feet. While the Hollow Earth theory is firmly in the realm of pseudoscience for most, the narrative has been given new life in the internet age by individuals claiming to be whistleblowers. These are men and women who allege they were part of secret military or scientific programs in Antarctica and saw things they were sworn to never reveal. One of the most famous is a man who claimed to be a retired U.S. Navy flight engineer. He told stories of flying numerous missions over a no-fly zone in Antarctica, where he witnessed giant holes in the ice leading into the continent's interior. He also claimed to have transported scientists who disappeared for weeks at a time to study a very old civilization down there. These whistleblower stories are, by their very nature, impossible to verify. They are often anonymous and lack any hard evidence to back up their extraordinary claims. Skeptics rightly dismiss them as hoaxes or works of fiction, and yet they persist. They tap into a deep-seated distrust of official narratives and a desire to believe that there are still profound secrets left to uncover. Whether these tales are fact or fantasy, they add a modern human element to the Antarctic enigma. They transform the mystery from an ancient legend into a present-day conspiracy, suggesting that the truth is known but is being actively hidden from the public. If a civilization did once exist in a temperate Antarctica, its demise must have been as dramatic as its existence. One of the leading theories to explain how an entire continent could become flash-frozen, trapping a civilization beneath the ice, involves a cataclysm of global proportions. The idea is that this didn't happen slowly over millions of years, as mainstream geology suggests, but rapidly and violently. A popular hypothesis among proponents of this theory is the idea of a crustal displacement or pole shift. This theory, famously championed by Charles Hapgood, and even endorsed by Albert Einstein as plausible, suggests the Earth's entire outer crust could suddenly shift, moving continents into new latitudes. Imagine the consequences of such an event. If the continent of Antarctica were suddenly shifted thousands of miles south into the polar circle, the climate change would be almost instantaneous. Lush, temperate lands would be plunged into a deep freeze, temperatures would plummet, and precipitation that once fell as rain would become a relentless, world-burying blizzard of snow. The oceans would be in turmoil, generating tsunamis of unimaginable scale that would wash over the land before freezing solid. In such a scenario, a civilization, no matter how advanced, would have little chance to escape. Its cities, infrastructure, and people would be entombed in ice and frozen mud in a geological instant. Another possible culprit for such a sudden catastrophe is an asteroid or comet impact. A large enough impactor striking the Earth could throw so much dust and debris into the atmosphere that it would block out the sun, triggering a sudden and severe ice age, an event known as an impact winter. The resulting global cooling would be swift and devastating. Alternatively, an impact in a nearby ocean could create a mega tsunami that would scour the Antarctic continent clean before the deep freeze set in. Evidence for past impacts is found all over the globe, and some researchers believe a major history-altering event occurred around 12,000 years ago, coinciding with the end of the last ice age. This idea of a sudden disaster provides a compelling explanation for how a civilization could be lost without a trace. Gradual climate change would likely result in migration and the slow decay of structures, leaving behind more obvious evidence. But a sudden, cataclysmic event would preserve everything as it was, like a prehistoric Pompeii on a continental scale. The people, their buildings, their technology, all would be flash-frozen and buried, perfectly preserved under miles of ice, waiting for a future generation to find them. It's a terrifying thought, but it fits the narrative of a sophisticated world that simply vanished from the face of the Earth, leaving behind only whispers and enigmatic maps. Today, as we stand in the year 2025, the story of Antarctica is entering a new and urgent chapter. The continent that has held its secrets under a thick blanket of ice for millennia is beginning to change. Global climate change is causing the Antarctic ice sheets to melt at an accelerating rate. Massive ice shelves, some the size of entire countries, are cracking and breaking away from the mainland. Glaciers that have been stable for thousands of years are now in retreat, exposing land that has not seen the sun in countless ages. The Great Lock on Antarctica's vault is beginning to rust, and the door is starting to creak open. This rapid thaw presents us with an unprecedented opportunity. For the first time in modern history, we may be on the verge of seeing what truly lies beneath the ice. Every year, new areas of coastline and mountain ranges are being exposed. What will we find there? Will it simply be more rock and gravel, confirming the conventional geological timeline? Or will we find something that challenges our understanding of the past? The possibility, however remote, is intoxicating. Imagine a satellite image, or maybe a photograph from a research team on the ground, revealing the unmistakable outline of a wall, a road, or a building emerging from the retreating ice. Such a discovery would be the single greatest archaeological find in human history. The questions this raises are profound. If we were to find evidence of a lost civilization, who were they? Were they an unknown branch of humanity that evolved in isolation? Or were they visitors from another world who established an outpost on Earth long ago? What level of technology did they possess? Could the stories of flying saucers and advanced weaponry have a basis in fact? Artifacts of a technology far beyond our own? And perhaps the most pressing question of all, what happened to them? Understanding their fate could hold critical lessons for our own civilization as we face our own set of global challenges. For now, these questions remain unanswered, confined to the realms of speculation and late-night conversations. The secrets of Antarctica are still secrets, but the ice is melting. The clock is ticking. We may be the generation that finally gets to look beneath the veil and learn the truth. Or perhaps the continent's mysteries will endure, with new discoveries only leading to deeper and more complex questions. One thing is certain, the world is watching the ice at the bottom of the world, waiting and wondering. What was once the most isolated place on Earth could soon become the center of a revelation that changes everything we thought we knew about ourselves.